Hey! I see you driving your kid's car today. What's up with that?
Right. So, the roads.
Where's the Tesla?
The roads got a little messy with the snow and the salt. So, even though it's supposed to be an aluminum
It's an
car.
aluminum car. Come on.
Yeah, there's
all I can do is corrode.
The bolts and everything are still probably steel. Susceptible to rust.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
But you know what? So I put gas in it the other day. Actually,
Okay.
today I put gas in it. I only paid $2.29.
$2.29.
That's freaking amazing. I haven't paid that little for gas in a long time.
Yeah.
I remember paying $5 during
Remember
Biden.
when gas was like 70 cents,
Kind of, yeah.
Those were the days, right?
Yep, exactly.
Except for if I remember right, there were lines at the pumps when that was going on.
I remember during Clinton, I think it was, at one point gas got down to like 99 cents.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were good times. A lot better than $5 a gallon.
Oh, man. You're not kidding. Hey, all you Californians, how's your gas prices going?
Man, California, you guys are still over. You're probably like $4.50 on an average in California. So
it's ridiculous. And you know what? And here's a thought for you. And I know this is kind of going off track, but for airplane fuel, like California has banned regular airplane fuel, which is 100 low lead. So you actually have to fly out of the state to get gas and fly into the state is what I've heard. So we'll have to check that and make sure I'm not the idiot here.
That doesn't sound very environmentally friendly.
Oh yeah, right. So you're burning fossil fuels to get out of the state because they won't allow this type of fuel in.
Right.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
But I heard for car gas.
Yeah,
I think like Colorado and Oklahoma, they're probably under $2 a gallon now.
Under $2 a gallon.
Right.
Colorado is?
I think so. I thought I heard Colorado.
Oh, wow.
They have a lot of grasshoppers and oil wells there.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm guessing because they're an oil producing state.
Right.
So Trump is out there now talking about affordability. And, it's funny because a lot of people are saying, oh, he's not doing anything about affordability. I mean, it's like you get in office, it's not like you can flip a switch. Some of these, it seems so absurd to have people
affordability we can have. I've got the best affordability. So everything's affordable now.
And I think the gas is going to go a long way on this because transportation is one of the factors that goes into all the pricing.
Yeah, but I also saw something today that people aren't feeling like anything's affordable right now. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's the whole feeling of what people think versus what is reality.
Right. Because there are obviously a lot of Trump enemies on TV trying to scare people and make this an issue. And it is funny because...
And trust me, the guy pisses me off too at times.
When Biden was in office, these same people who are saying, "Oh, everything's
talking about
so
people
expensive,"
that pissed me off.
Right. And they were out there talking like, "Well, it's just transitory. You got to wait it out." And then they're saying, "Well, it's your imagination. You just don't know that you're doing better." And then it was like, "Well, people are colluding. These businesses are colluding to like jack prices up on you."
I thought that was funny. Yeah,
they're not talking about collusion these days.
It was funny because I heard things like, was it Kamala Harris who said something to the effect of, "Well, prices are up for manufacturing, and prices are and then she's like, they go, well, that means that they have to raise prices. Well, why would they have to raise prices? Mm-hmm. Well, if prices are up and they're trying to make a profit and they're trying to feed their employees, prices are gonna go up."
You got to do the math, right?
Yeah, do the math. But it was like that just shows me how unrealistic politicians are to the problems of society, because it's like none of them have really, none of them. I can't say none of them have had jobs but none of them come
Most of them haven't.
Yeah, well, a lot of them haven't, right? This is their job per se, and they do a lousy fucking job of it.
Some of them have gone from being driving ice cream trucks to the Congress for 40 years and into the United States Senate.
Right.
Others were
Well,
bartenders.
Was it you who came out with the chart of Nancy Pelosi
Yeah,
feeding
yeah.
Warren Buffett?
Well, I didn't make it, but yeah.
I thought that was hysterical.
Right?
Like she just outran Warren Buffett, the
Right.
world's one of the
Right.
best investment guys that have ever been around, other than Bernie Madoff, because he was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. But
but
she more than doubled his return.
his return.
Right.
Imagine that. I
So
don't know how that
ridiculous.
could happen. And there's now a bunch of battles going on how are these Congress people getting so rich? But
Right.
we'll maybe discuss that in another time. But let's
Right.
talk about the affordability of
affordability.
Americans under Trump, right?
So I ran some numbers, and actually I used 4 different AI sites to do the research on this because, boy, they were inconsistent. And so I kind of took consensus data, which I think is pretty close to reality here.
Okay.
So gas, actually. So this is, this is probably a week or two old.
Right.
November 2024, it was 305 a gallon. Yeah, which was good. I mean, it was coming down. It usually does come down a lot of times this time of the year anyway. But December 2025, it's at 294. Obviously, things are lower than that now, I think. But nationwide, I mean, once you throw in places like California, I don't know about places like New Jersey where they're required to pump your gas, things like that.
I
What
didn't know
they
they
charge
were
a
required
gallon.
to pump
Yeah, there are
gas.
like 2 states like that, I think. Maybe even 3 states like that. Kind of like a legacy, like legislation to keep people
that's a
employed or
European
something.
thing. Like a lot of European countries have that still, where you're driving around and I'm like, you're getting ready to get out of the car, and the guy's like, no, you sit in your car. I pump your gas.
Yeah, I clean your windows too.
Yeah, I clean your windows. I check your oil. Yeah, it's an electric car, sir.
So gas on these numbers is down 3.6%, but I think the percentage is definitely a lot bigger now because it's really getting better.
3.6, and
So,
that's some savings. Now, that's not where I'm feeling in my pocketbook. If you look at that number.
So a dozen of eggs, 415 in November of 2024, now down to 349, which is a reduction of 15.9, almost 16% down.
16%. That's a savings.
So the one thing that I've seen in the basic staples that I grabbed here, that's up is beef.
Yeah.
Beef is actually up 11.5%. According to these numbers, it was $5.67 a pound in November 2024.
Why is that, right?
And now it's $6.32.
I wonder why that is. And I just bought a half of a cow. I'm not getting it till the end of January. And funny thing is, I don't believe we're saving any money by buying the half a cow, because I think it's the same thing. We're just kind of doing it for the freshness of the meat, or the
purity,
of the meat.
Yeah.
So, it's the first time I've ever done this, but why is that so high, I wonder?
And that's interesting, right? Because it seems like America's on this chicken craze.
Yeah,
you
I
got
like
Raising Cane's, you got Chick-fil-A, you got Popeyes.
I'd rather have chicken over ground beef.
Even on McDonald's ads, on some of their billboards, I noticed they show their sandwiches, and the chicken sandwich is in the forefront, and the Big Mac is behind that.
Yeah,
How
I think
weird
what
is
they're
that?
trying to do is steal all the Chick-fil-A business and move it somewhere else.
Right.
But,
So you think that
funny, I just went to
demand
McDonald's
would be down.
yesterday, and you're right. They do have the chicken sandwiches prominently, and they look good, right? I haven't tried one. Maybe I'll try one today.
I've tried one.
Yeah.
They're okay.
They're okay, yeah.
My favorite is Popeyes. I think Popeyes has the best chicken sandwich.
Boy, and that spicy chicken sandwich that Popeyes has is next to...
That's a good one.
It
huh?
is way better than Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry, Chick-fil-A, but...
Chick-fil-A is still very good, though.
Yeah, my verdict's still out on Chick-fil-A. My kid used to work the drive-through at Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah, so you probably got sick of eating.
That was his
stuff, right?
second job. He worked at McDonald's, which I talked him into working at McDonald's because I thought that was a great idea.
So he could be an expert on whose chicken sandwich is better between the two.
But he does like a good chicken sandwich. But then he worked and then I pushed him over to Chick-fil-A. I was like, go to Chick-fil-A. Let's see how they.
You don't have to work on Sunday.
Yeah, you don't have to work on Sunday, right? So then he can sleep all day, which actually he doesn't do anymore. But
good for him.
Yeah,
he's maturing.
He is maturing. Okay, so chicken sandwiches, Popeyes, we got that down. Chick-fil-A now.
Beef, so beef is up despite the appearance of demand being down. Maybe demand isn't. I don't know. We just sent a bunch of money. Didn't we just like send like a big chunk of money to Argentinian beef farmers or something?
I did see something to
That was
effect.
so anyways, chicken, like a whole chicken,
Yeah.
per pound is it's pretty flat.
Yeah.
It's like 208
Yeah.
in November.
Given
24,
whatever day it measures
down
it
2
on.
cents, right?
Right.
To 206. Gallon of milk, a little better, 387 in November 2024.
Down 5.7%.
Down to 3.65. And then, let's see, bread. Bread is from 192. And that's kind of bread is so different. I mean, you can buy
Yeah,
your
but you
like
look at these numbers.
dollar like white bread.
They
and then,
really
you know,
haven't changed since
Yep.
last year.
So they're not going up, which is a good thing, right? So
Right,
it's like,
I guess.
this is a difference of perception versus reality, right? Depending
Right.
on what people are being, told. So bread is down 2.6%, butter is down 1.3%. And so, so if we were being affected by a lot of inflation, you'd see a lot of the stuff up like 3% or something, right?
Right.
But so a lot of this stuff is coming down, and with fuel prices going
when you
down.
say it that way on the inflation thing, I see where you're coming from, right? I mean, these numbers really haven't moved since last year. I mean, yeah, we got a pretty dramatic jump in the eggs. 15 in the ground beef jump.
no, the eggs were down. Oh yeah, the
Eggs were
right.
eggs were down. I mean, that's a big jump down. I'm sorry,
Right.
or fall down, or whatever you want to say. And beef going up 11. 11. That's I think there's a lot of. I wonder how many.
So
people
for a lot
eat,
of
but-
so for a lot of these, you're seeing reductions of 1 to 3%, as opposed to if they would have been following inflation, that
Right, it
should
would
be
be
up
up
3%,
Right, up 3%. Right.
And actually, the recent CPI numbers that came out too showed a very good a good number on a year-to-year basis.
Sure.
So things are looking better. Obviously, we have a much more active president than we used to.
Let's not say better. Let's say stable. Things are looking
Yeah,
stable
right,
at this
right.
point, right?
And they say that supposedly Trump says that wages are up, and so if wages are up and the prices are flat, that's a great thing. obviously.
keep people in jobs. Keep producing. Keep people buying products, and we'll solve some of this
So one way to make
and get
That
better
w-
jobs.
One way that would be to make energy. Energy is one of the things that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people complain about their electric costs and things
Right.
like that, and that's why they get so sensitive. Partly why they get so sensitive about these AI data centers, but
Yeah.
but not to mention the Green New Deal or whatever that was that just ended up jacking up prices, or the Inflation Reduction Act
Yeah.
from a few years ago. So the anyways, one way to reduce energy costs would be to conquer nuclear fusion.
Yeah, and you were talking
So-
about this, and I had this reversed when I was talking to my wife about this.
So-
This is pretty dramatic.
This is some of this stuff that's coming out is fantastic. I mean, so here's a line from a news clip. Nuclear fusion has made remarkable strides recently, bringing this long-promised clean energy source closer to reality. So right now, our nuclear plants are operating on fission instead of fusion, and there's a huge difference between the fission and fusion. But the basic rundown is regarding toxic waste. Fission creates long-lived radioactive waste that remains dangerous for thousands of years.
Right.
Fusion produces minimal radioactive waste that decays in about 100 years. Then it can actually be recycled and reused, I guess, in a lot of
Really?
for the same purpose.
Well,
So-
and can you use the same fission plants for fusion?
So I would think that some of the process of like busting down these nuclei or whatever they're doing, it's how they break it down and create the energy. There's a different process. I'm not sure if they need to change much hardware or not.
Right.
But,
Well, that's a good
yeah.
a good question, because now we've got an infrastructure problem, right?
Right. And so it's you're using different materials and you're using a different method, I think, in some ways, but it's really getting down to the tiny level to bust these cells up. But the one of the big things too regarding fission, when we think about Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island, things like that, fission can experience runaway chain reactions. So if it busts up some nuclei or whatever, and you can have it just keep on going on to all the chemicals next to it, or all the material
So it
next to it.
spreads.
Right, and it runs out of control.
Well, and you look at like Japan, when
Right,
the whole thing
exactly,
blew up,
from like 2012 or whatever
Yeah.
that was. So fusion reactions stop immediately if conditions aren't maintained. So you basically pull the source and it's gone, and you don't have to worry about it. So that's a huge.
So
thing.
there's no meltdown type
Right, no
problem,
runaway meltdown.
Right? Yeah.
And so the big, one of the cool things is that fission fuel is limited and must be mined at some of these rare earth metal materials, whereas fusion fuel can be extracted from seawater and is virtually unlimited.
That's amazing.
Right?
That is amazing.
So,
And will this be able to power cars? Will it be able to power houses? Is it
yeah.
independently powering, or
So I think
does it
it-
come from a
yeah,
plant?
so I think it generates electricity.
Will you have
and
a fusion
energy.
wall at your house, like a power fusion
You know,
wall?
that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
You know,
it's like
that would be cool if
right,
it could independently, or you could buy the fusion center and
right.
like,
I'll take the fusion wall, not the fission wall.
yeah, not the fission. Yeah, definitely don't want
But
that.
so, like UK's Jet Fusion Laboratory achieved a new world record by producing 68 megajoules of energy over 5 seconds, which is like a massive amount of energy. And Princeton's been using AI to. So there's this plasma, and so the plasma has the molecules in it that get busted and up in these nuclear reactors.
So then my
here.
question here is like, I obviously that's a big number, that 69 megajoules, right?
Right.
How many houses will that power? You
So-
know, let's break it down in layman's
Right.
terms. Do we know that?
Okay, so one. Let's see. I did look that up. Let's see. So one joule. So a joule, just to keep it under perspective. There, because I looked it up. I'm like, well, what's the difference between a megajoule and a
Right.
gigawatt? Because we talk about gigawatts powering houses and stuff like that.
Sure.
So a joule measures the total amount of energy, and a gigawatt is the rate at which energy is being produced. And so a gigawatt, which is enough to power like 500,000 houses or 550,000 houses, is 1 billion joules per second. So that's kind of, to throw some wild numbers out there.
Right, right.
But so, this was just a tiny thing. And so in 5 seconds, obviously if you've got this stuff pumping on a big scale constantly,
Continuously.
you're going to produce a lot of energy. And so actually there is something that talks about energy production potential here. Fusing atoms released, fusing atoms releases nearly 4 million times more energy than burning coal, oil, or gas, and 4 times as much as nuclear fission. So, recently we were talking about, well, for these AI plants, you're going to have a lot more nuclear power because they're much more efficient than the fossil fuels. But this is 4 times more efficient, and it creates barely any radioactive waste. And the waste it does create dissolves much faster than the fission fuels.
Right.
So 1 kilogram of fission fuel can produce as much energy as 10 million kilograms of fossil fuels. Let's see. This also says by the year 2100, electricity generation could be 50% generated by fusion. I would think at something like this, you'd want it to be
fission?
Fusion. So fusion goes away, fusion takes its place.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
That's
yes.
the idea.
Correct.
So, and the sea-based lithium reserves would fulfill energy needs for millions of years. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, to tell you the truth. But so anyways, we're moving a long way. But
Right.
you'd think that by 2100, with something like this, it sounds like the ideal thing. And so, so the world is obviously is definitely taking note. Fusion produces no CO2 or other harmful atmospheric emissions. The major byproduct of fusion is actually helium, which is an inert, non-toxic gas. Inert gases
Would this
don't
be
mix with
something
others.
that Greta Thunberg would be for?
She probably would be. I would think that if you can make this stuff efficiently, everyone would be.
Yeah.
Except
Would she cheer it on and
I would hope so. But someone like that is probably like anything that has the word nuclear in it, like probably
Yeah.
scares her. But
which is funny.
Yeah,
There's another
so-
person who's never had a job in her life.
Tokamak fusion power plants emit less CO2. This is interesting. These power plants emit less CO2 than photovoltaic solar systems. So like those big like solar fields that you see.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
they've got one down south here that we just came across, and it looks like they're building them left and right. But yeah,
And so, I didn't think there was any CO2 that emitted from those systems, but maybe that's counting like what it takes to make them or whatever. it
yeah,
may be.
probably the
So,
production.
reactor materials can be recycled and reused within 100 years. Fusion's availability could reduce the global cost of decarbonizing by trillions of dollars. Reactors have inherent safety features. Any disruption automatically halts the reactor within seconds, which obviously prevents any type of meltdown kind of thing. So
Sure.
that's exciting. I mean, that could
How
solve all
I'm
of
wondering
our-
how contained this is. I mean, we look at all those big nuclear facilities and we go, is this going to be another eyesore? Is it going to have any, ill effects on the environment? Other than it seems like it really doesn't.
It seems like the dream come
Or
true.
it's very,
So-
very minimal. I mean, everything seems to affect the environment. Everything you do affects the environment. Walking on it affects the environment. But,
And-
this seems like this is a good, and it's funny because I always think, I'm like, man, when are we going to start running out of reserves, right?
Right.
When is the oil gone? When is the coal gone? When is the, and I had just heard something about, Trump talking about he was going to start bringing back coal.
Oh yeah, like
Which-
clean coal.
Clean coal, right?
But at the same time,
But really, clean coal's not really clean.
so yeah, I don't know enough about it, but it's interesting. So Trump Trump media, which I don't know how much he does. I'm sure he's got input. I think his sons run it. Yeah, but Trump media or Devin Nunes, I think, is the chairman of Trump media. They announced this week that they are going to be merging with a nuclear fusion company, which is
Okay.
interesting. So all
Why
of a
would
sudden,
a media company merge with a
with the social media, right?
right?
Unless the social media wants to get into AI, maybe, and then they have a nuclear fusion plant that feeds the AI, the energy
Yeah.
for the AI.
It's
But
interesting why those two would merge.
It's a very weird combination, right?
Right.
But so what this ends up being, though, if this goes through and everything, I think they're talking July of next year.
Okay.
It could be the first nuclear fusion company available for public trading on the
Okay.
stock market. So that would give
But
obviously
producing
a lot
no
of
product, we really don't have any, any fusion production facilities up.
people. Right.
What I see this as like one of those like big deal, like.
So
So if they're
right-
not producing anything, when are they producing it?
But right
When-
now there are more than 160 fusion facilities either in operation, under construction, or planned worldwide.
Okay.
There's a global private investment in it, which is greater than $10 billion. And so,
So
it's
are there
coming around.
any here in the U.S. as
Yes,
of right now?
yes.
There are.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
we're
Yeah, we're definitely a part of it. And China's invested an annual budget of about
1.6.
$1.5 billion into it. So this is kind of interesting when you talk about the United States. So there was this professor who got assassinated, got killed at his apartment in Brookline.
the MIT guy.
Right. And he was in charge of MIT's nuclear fusion group. You know,
Okay.
so when I first heard that, I'm like, wow, is this like some kind of because this guy sounds like he was just a gem
Yeah,
for America and the world.
He was a genius. Yeah,
Right?
that's what I hear.
So he had a lot of important knowledge.
So
and
this
great
also
skill.
is related to the brown. Supposedly, it's
industry.
related to the brown thing, which is actually when I heard about the Brown University thing. That I looked at my wife and I heard about the MIT guy, and I go, same guy. But
Right.
of course, the media says no, it's not the same guy, and then now they're going, hey, guess what?
Yeah.
Same guy.
Hey, we checked the case. And,
Yeah, yeah.
we got a
checked
match.
it. We got the same guy. Imagine that, because they're 45 minutes from each other.
So it's interesting. So we can segue into the brown stuff.
Yeah.
But when I first heard it, I was wondering, was this a hit job because the guy had so much knowledge about nuclear fission?
Well-
Because this is a big, and there are all these conspiracy theorists. People
Right.
out there are like, oh, that was the fossil fuel industry.
Don't you remember the
taking a hit.
hydrogen guy dying too?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
like the
there-
hydrogen fuel cell? kind
Yeah,
of
the
guy?
hydrogen
I don't
fuel
remember
cell
that.
guy was murdered as well. I
Really?
thought. I mean, we'll check the data on this, but I'm almost sure that he was murdered as well.
Okay. So, but once you hear about all the details regarding the MIT guy, you're like, well, maybe this guy had a beef with something, but he actually, this guy, they were both the same age. They were both from Portugal, which is interesting. They both went to school together in Portugal before they both ended up moving over here. So I mean, there's so many. I don't think this guy was acting as a hitman. I think this guy, I don't know. We'll see how things work out. But he goes and so backing up, he goes to Brown. He's casing Brown University for 2 weeks, and no one really says much except for this homeless guy who ends up like talking to the police and giving them all the details. And the guy starts shooting randomly at kids. Who are studying for an exam.
Yeah.
So that doesn't seem,
none of this makes sense. And then, the guy name was Stanley Meyer, and supposedly,
Oh, this is the hydrogen guy.
yes, the hydrogen guy. Supposedly, they thought he was murdered for. Well, he was murdered, but murdered because of like natural gas and all that other crap that they were trying to get pushed through, so they got rid of him, axed him. But
Interesting.
that's something. It looks like to me there's a YouTube thing I'll probably watch. But
And so with the guy from MIT, it sounds like he wasn't the only. He's not the only guy who's like working on this technology. Obviously, you got
sure.
people in Europe, you got people over here, you got people in China. So it's like an inevitability. And you can't take out all these scientists.
well, you
the globe.
could.
You could.
You
You
could.
could try. I
You could
guess,
create
yeah.
something called COVID,
Yeah,
and
right.
you could directly get scientists.
Right.
Right. Conspiracy theory coming.
Moving into that Brown thing. What a crap show that was.
Oh my God! It was like excuse the language, but bumblefuck. It was like. Just yesterday, they're like, "Hey, guess what? We found casings. Casings. Who searched this place?"
Right, exactly. I mean, it's like
Or
that should've
live
been-
ammo. Live ammo is what they said. Yeah, not necessarily
And so-
casings. I guess they had the casings, maybe.
And that university president. I mean, I swear, just like when Congress brought out these university presidents to testify a year or two ago. These people are just so unimpressive. I mean, it's like
so
these people,
out of touch.
they're just riding gravy trains. And I mean, it was 6 hours after the event, and they're like asking all these questions.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
What was
I don't
going
know,
on?
I
How
don't
many
know.
students were in the room? I'm like, how do you not know this
Right?
stuff?
I
You
know.
And where are the cameras? Oh, well, it's an old building, and by we've all now seen
Yeah.
the photo. It's not an old building.
But
It's an old building,
yeah.
but it's got new innards.
But what does that matter?
Yeah, it doesn't
There are
matter.
plenty of
It's not like you
cameras in
can't
old
hook
buildings.
a camera up in an old building. I got
So,
plenty of old buildings.
right?
I've had cameras.
Maybe the Tower of London doesn't have cameras
Yeah.
because it's old.
Yeah, right. Well, and here's the thing, man. Slap a blink camera on the outside
I know,
or
right?
something. Call it a day.
You ever hear of Wi-Fi?
Yeah, at least you'll have something.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It's like-
but hey, how about this homeless guy, right?
right?
that-
He's living in the building where it
Living
happened.
in the building. Hey, if you had cameras, you might know there are homeless guys
Right,
living in the
exactly.
basements, And then it's like, and he's the only one who's got knowledge. I mean, when you listen to the campus policeman, he's like, I have no knowledge. I have no knowledge. I have no knowledge. And then the homeless guy comes out and he goes, yeah, this guy shouldn't be here, right?
He's been around for 2 weeks.
He's been around for 2 weeks. I stopped and talked to him, and I kept asking him, why are you on campus, And it's like, here are the police like, hey, I don't see anything, But I actually think they need to fire the police, the campus police guy, and put the homeless guy in place because he obviously has a better clue than the dumbass sitting in the seat.
He's paying more attention, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's
or I should say the idiot sitting in the seat.
So I think the homeless guy is going to end up getting a $50,000 reward.
Good for him.
So he can get himself a nice apartment for a while.
Well,
maybe invest it.
I actually think they should hire the guy. To tell you the truth, he's obviously got a better clue than the rest of them.
Right.
And he went to school there. So here,
did he go to school?
Yeah, I saw something that said he also went to school there.
Okay.
Never graduated, but then lives on campus. I mean, and I wonder how many of the kids...
I know the shooter went to school there.
No, I'm pretty sure the homeless guy went to school there too. I mean, well, look that
Which
up.
doesn't surprise me. I mean, I remember, I used to get into all these discussions with these oddballs who hang around universities, and a lot of them, there are not a lot, but there's always a group, especially at a big university. Yeah, there's always a group of people who are kind of like hanging around campus. Yeah, they like to debate and argue.
Transients, right?
Kind of smart people, but they couldn't make $1 for for their life.
And I've also heard about homeless people going to school at places. And not, just showing up to class, knowing what classes are in there, sitting in the class and learning.
Right.
Which is cool.
Kind of auditing the class like they did. Wasn't that, there was that movie back in the 80s, like Weird Science or something? Wasn't there like that eccentric, like genius who was like living on campus or something?
Yeah, or something like that, right. Right. Well, the other Weird Science is where they create the girl,
Oh, yeah. So it's one of those 80s flicks,
So both of them had a lot of talent, as my guess, because if you create a woman out of nothing.
Right, Kelly LeBrock or whatever, right?
Yeah, by the way, have you seen her lately?
No.
Ooh, she didn't age well. I'm sorry, Kelly, if you watch the show, but I'm glad you're smart.
But so Brown University, so you got this president who seems totally clueless and doesn't answer any questions. Yeah, I saw like her being, peppered with questions, and she was giving no answers, and then she was like, "That's it for now," and she just kind of walks away from the microphone. But then all of a sudden I hear that like Brown University, so their tuition's like $70,000 a year.
$70,000.
And even with that, they are running a $46 million budget deficit.
Now, I didn't know that until you got here today, but
that's insane.
You can't put the numbers together, so you're running this university into the ground. I want to know how much...
These are the people who are supposed to educate.
I want to know how much the professors make. I want to know how much she makes. I want to know how much the rest of the people... I want to know how much that the police, the campus police chief makes, because he was clueless.
Right. And he had like a dual position too.
Yeah. And by the way, look up his history because it ain't good. He got fired from somewhere else because he didn't have the credentials he said he had.
Oh, wow.
But Brown University picked him up. So
isn't that interesting?
The thing is, it sounds like a circus. Like,
right. Oh, man.
I'm like, pull the idiots out.
This university president's making over $1 million a year, though. That's for sure.
Right. And
so
she's clueless to who are in her buildings.
Right.
And she doesn't know that she should have security cameras in today's day and age. Lady, go find a new job. McDonald's is hiring.
I think a lot of it is like, especially with these universities, they get this like false sense of security, and you're in this bubble where everything's nice and comfortable
until shit goes crazy, right?
Until the outsider comes in,
and shoots a couple kids, and rest their souls.
So the shooter,
this is sad.
The shooter had he went to school there for like a couple years, like in like 2000, 2001, something like that.
And supposedly, now let's bring it all back to the MIT professor. Supposedly, he went to school with that MIT professor,
in Portugal. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of ties here.
Right, and they were both. I think they both had a background in physics, and
I think that's what he was going to school for at the time, is what I read.
Right. So unfortunately, it sounds like we lost just a very important person at the hands of
An idiot
some guy who's, mentally
who wanted to
unstable or
make,
whatever.
wanted to make
It's
a
like,
stand. And here, so let's figure this out. What did he do for a living here?
Yeah, I don't know. He was granted permanent citizenship.
Right. How did he afford an apartment? How did he afford a rental car? How did he afford? I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
unanswered questions I
He
want to know.
must have had some kind of job. He was living in Miami. I hear.
Miami, and then moved up here for the winter, which is opposite of what the
Yeah.
progression
I think he
usually
came up
is.
in November, right around the time he started stalking campus and stuff like that. And then he rented the rental car out of Logan and a storage unit up in Salem, New Hampshire, and
Which blows me away.
So he had some
how,
cash.
How did he make money?
Right.
How did he get?
What kind of
how
job
did he
did he
get the
have?
guns? He had 2 guns, is what I hear now. I mean, there's so many. The math ain't mathin' in here, right?
he may have had some professional job. You don't know, but
Yeah.
or he could have just had a regular job, saved up.
I can
some
tell
bucks.
you what he wasn't. He wasn't a male stripper,
He was.
unless he was with the Dad Bods
Yeah.
male strip review.
Exactly. So, okay, let's
All
move
right.
on.
All right, we're going on something else.
Elon Musk has got some great ideas.
Yeah.
They kind of. It seems like a lot of times we circle back to these data centers because they're they.
Here's
they
the
bring
thing
so
I've
much
come to
attention.
realize about Elon Musk, right? And I tell my kid this all the time, and it's kind of what I did in life too. You don't make the mousetrap, you make the mousetrap better. And this is what I feel this guy does: is he makes the mousetrap better. He looks at a situation and he goes, "Yeah, that's a good mousetrap. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna make a better mousetrap over here." And this
Right.
is how I feel like
Tesla,
this is.
Tesla car is just a perfect example of that, right?
Yeah,
and as well as the SpaceX rockets.
Space program. Come on. He cut like the whole space program spend in half per launch.
And the first time you see a rocket like come back in and land in its harness is
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it
We
sends
talked
chills
about
up
that
your
last
spine,
show,
right?
but yeah, that is like one of the coolest things. I
So-
actually thought I was watching a sci-fi movie when I saw that happen.
So Elon Musk and SpaceX are actively planning to develop orbital data centers, primarily scaling up next generation Starlink satellites to host AI computing payloads. This just seems to make so much sense
It
because
does,
on
except
certain
for
levels.
I have one question.
There are some issues.
Yeah.
There are a number of issues, but if you can overcome them, I mean, I love the idea because one of the big energy sucks on these AI centers is cooling. You need a lot of cooling, and
Well, it's definitely cold up
if you're
there.
if you're out in space, you've got that built in. That's automatic, and so that's one thing. And then you have naked solar power. You don't have an atmosphere blocking it.
Right.
So if you can capture, I don't know this is where I don't know how the equation works, but if you can capture enough, I mean, I guess the space station runs on this stuff, right?
You would think.
And so you've got things out there that are capturing enough solar power to run. And so this is just so awesome. There's got to be so much redundancy, which there is a lot of redundancy in these big, like 200,000 GPU, devices, if you can call them,
Right.
warehouses. Because if one fails, you got to make sure things keep on running because
Yeah, redundancy.
you're gonna need obviously technicians to go up there and work on stuff.
Right.
So
I'm not taking that job. I can tell you that. I
So-
don't want to sit in space.
asking some AI sources why orbital data centers make sense. These are the answers I got. Abundant and constant solar energy. In orbit, satellites can access near continuous sunlight with no atmospheric interference. So that solar intensity is about 30% higher than on Earth, yielding up to 8 times more energy per panel area, often without needing heavy battery storage. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. It's 30% higher, but it produces 8 times more. So there must be some kind of efficiency scale on that.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, and I feel this when I fly, right? If I'm in an airplane and let's say it's summer and that sun is beating down on me and I'm at 12,000 or whatever thousand feet I'm at, that light is so much more intense than it is when
that's
you're
true.
on the ground, because the rays take a lot longer to get to the ground.
Right, and they have a lot more water molecules. And
Yeah,
things to get
right.
through,
There's a lot more to go through in that atmosphere, right?
So efficient radioactive cooling, the vacuum of space acts as an infinite heat sink. Waste heat from servers radiates directly away from via infrared, eliminating energy-intensive fans, chillers, or water-based cooling systems.
Sure.
So that's pretty cool. And then leveraging existing infrastructure, scaling satellites like Starlink with laser interlinks enables network computing clusters, turning communication satellites into compute platforms. So this is really cool. I just love this idea, especially with all the people having issues with the stuff like the terrestrial kind of
Right.
AI data centers. I mean, if you can do it up in space, that's great. But the one thing is that we're all connected down here. If everything's up in space, everything's really dependent on Starlink, which obviously Elon Musk becomes the traffic cop for and determines what's coming down and that stuff. So
Right.
whereas we almost have this like public utility now with all the bandwidth floating around, all the
sure.
all the cables out there for
Right. I was expecting there'd be a cable all the way up to the satellite
Right.
spinning around the world.
And I think it's interesting because the Starlink satellites operate different than the other satellites. I think the Starlink satellites, so like a lot of satellites are kind of geo-positioned. They kind of follow the circle of the Earth.
Sure.
Whereas the Starlink just kind of stays stationary.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And like the globe is like spinning around. I mean, they're traveling with the globe and stuff.
But being that I'm a flat earther,
right,
I think,
So it's almost like as you drive down the road going from cell tower to cell tower, kind of like that kind of thought,
Interesting.
And I'm not sure why they do that.
I wonder how they stay permanently
positioned, right?
Position.
Yeah.
Is there a
I don't know. I mean, we see like how GPS works down here, so it's probably somewhat similar, right?
Right.
So, let's see. So, anyways, some of the benefits are the lower long-term energy costs, which is outstanding. Reduced cooling expenses, unlimited scalability, potential lower overall operational costs, faster inter-satellite communications, bypassing earthly resource limits, edge processing advantages. So I heard recently, though, actually when we talk about the heat part, I heard that, and this is where the whole like AI build out really like, if I were like involved and invested heavily in that, that would scare me because you see like these processors just getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and we've spoken about that, talked about that before. Whereas like today's GPU isn't like the same GPU that'll probably be used in 2 years from now because of the technology. There's a lot of investment going into this stuff to make them efficient and fast, right? So
right.
I hear there's a new GPU that can operate without creating heat.
Really?
And so, or minimal, at least it creates minimal heat, which really changes a lot of the calculus regarding building these supercomputers.
Here's the other thing, with this whole supercomputer and putting it in space, man, think of what you could do with Bitcoin.
Right. No kidding. You could just have things chugging along up there all day long, right?
Producing Bitcoin. I'm buying a satellite.
Right. Get yourself, you'll pay for that thing quickly, right?
Yeah, right. I'm going to pay that thing off in a couple of days.
Right? Yeah. So interesting stuff. Extremely interesting stuff. So that's all I have on that.
Yeah.
So you're a pilot. And
last time I checked.
And so this is like old news, like 53-year-old news that I just came across. And, so I learned recently there was this lady. Well, there was this flight, this JAT Yugoslav Airlines flight 367 that was going from Stockholm to Belgrade.
Sure.
And back in January 26, 1972, and then there were terrorists on it. They exploded a bomb on the plane, 33,000 feet up in the air.
Jeez.
Rips the plane apart. And there are like 27 people on the flight, and 26 of them pass away. But one person survives, the flight attendant, the 22-year-old flight attendant survives, and her name is Vesna Volovic.
Wow.
Vesna Volovic, she's a Serbian woman who survives from 33,000 feet up in the air, flies down. And so they say that, and I'm just like, how can that possibly
without
happen, right?
a parachute? Let's
Without a
get
parachute.
that.
Yeah,
we,
there's
we
no
need
parachute.
to say that,
Right?
because that's like 33,000 feet. Holy cow!
Needless to say,
That's 10,000 meters for all you foreigners.
Right. So, needless to say, this got her into the World Book of Records, the Guinness Book of World Records,
Sure.
which evidently Paul
I don't
McCartney
think that's going to get
gave
broken.
her, yeah.
I don't think that's going to break.
I don't think people want to try to break that record,
yeah.
right?
We're not. Yeah.
So it says, I got a thing that says how she survived. The exact mechanics remain somewhat debated, but several factors likely contributed to her survival. The aircraft landed in a heavily wooded, snow-covered mountainside, which absorbs some of the impact.
Not for
But
27 other people.
Because they say, like, you know, it's the sudden stop that kills you, right? And when you're going from 33,000 feet up in the air, and, you know, even if it's like, you know, 100-foot cushion or something,
Right.
you know, that's still pretty fast stop.
Where was
right?
she positioned on the plane?
So she had low blood pressure, which some doctors believe prevented her heart from bursting, because
Holy
obviously you've got
shit.
these pressure changes, right?
God, I got
And-
high blood pressure. I'll
and
be blowing up.
She was sitting in the back of the plane.
Oh, okay.
So she said, so, you know, maybe, you know, the crunch of the section of the plane that she was in,
Right.
between that and the trees, I guess, you know, made enough of a difference. So anyways, she was found relatively quickly by a former World War II medic who kept her alive until
Wow.
rescue arrived. She had a fractured skull, broken vertebrae.
Wow.
Her legs and pelvis were broken. She had temporary paralysis. She was set 27 days in a coma. And so I looked this up, and then they kind of like show her like kind of waking up from a coma, and this is just like stunning, right?
That's
It's
amazing.
Like, she made a remarkable recovery, but had no memory of the crash, although she walked with a limp for the rest of her life from, you know, permanent injury from it.
Sure. I would think you fall 33,000 feet, you're going to have some kind of permanent injury.
Right.
Yeah.
And the report I ran actually said fun fact, which I changed to an interesting note because there's nothing really fun about this. She wasn't even scheduled for that flight. Her employer mixed up her with another Vesna and had her accidentally booked to be on that flight that day.
Oh, my God.
So anyways, and then she, so she lived until 2016 and died at the age of 66.
Wow.
She
Okay.
continued to work at the airline, but in an office job. So,
Yeah, I'd never get in another
She was
plane.
grounded, but
Yeah. Oh,
so-
my God. Vesna.
right?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like that guy for the India plane crash a year ago or whatever it was, where the one guy walked off the plane.
And how he walked,
He
which
walked
is amazing.
off. Yeah.
How
He,
far
like,
up? They were just
stepped.
taking off, right?
Yeah.
So
And
were they a
then-
few hundred feet?
Yeah,
or
that's where
1,000
where they
feet or
think that one guy cut all the engines, and then it just fell out of the sky. But then I guess when he was going down, supposedly this is what I heard. So check this on wherever you want to check it. But he took the emergency door. He was sitting in that row, and as the plane was like crashing, he walked out of the plane onto the wing and then onto a building or something.
Really?
And it was like.
He just timed it. I mean,
I mean, that's a lucky.
and you're that close enough. You're
Play
that
the
close.
lottery. It's the
Right?
1.5 billion,
Holy
dude,
cow.
because you just beat it.
Yeah. And he walked away.
Yeah, he walked away.
Any injuries?
His brother died,
His brother died, but
who was sitting right next to him.
he had no injuries.
No, I don't think
Wow.
he did.
Maybe a couple scrapes, but nothing major.
Everybody else perished, right? You know, because this guy,
Stunning,
one,
right?
you're supposed to stay and help everyone else off the plane, but you were
There's no
self-absorbed
yeah,
and
it's,
decided you'd.
That's if you land in a river or something, right?
Right,
Sully.
right.
But if you're just
Right.
heading towards ground, I think each man for himself.
Yep. But each man for himself. Yeah, they always say that. I try to sit in the exit rows because I'm not going to pay for first class because I ain't.
But you
rich.
like the extra leg room.
I like the extra leg room. Yeah, call me crazy, right?
So you commit. They say
I'm like, it's
as long as you're willing
$40.
to commit to helping out in the event of an
elderly
emergency.
gentleman or elderly woman or anybody else who needs help off
Right.
that plane. I'm your guy.
Right? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's just such a better deal. I mean, and maybe Vanessa or Vesna.
Rhymes with
know.
Cessna.
Yeah, maybe she was going to sit in the exit row every time now, and she's
Right,
going to help
exactly.
everyone else off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I've got today.
That's all you got. This sounds like a show to me. Anything you guys want? We're on. What are we on? We're on
Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah. I usually say Shopify, but we're not on
Yeah,
Shopify. You
we're not
can't
on
buy
Shopify.
anything from us. But like, subscribe. We're on YouTube too. Watch us on YouTube. I know I'm handsome, Chris. I'm sorry,
Sorry about that.
but yeah. Anything you guys want, please like, subscribe, comment, give us some topics. You find something that was wrong with what we've done. One thing I was looking at, our notes today, right? There's one thing where I was like, tell me how the economy is affecting you guys. Tell me if we're wrong about, it's staying stable, or how you guys are feeling it out there. I mean,
So you folks in California, you're probably jealous of the other people about gas prices, but you were probably paying $6 a year ago. So
yeah, $4 doesn't seem so bad.
should be
when you're
getting
paying
some
$6.
relief, right?
Yeah, that's like airplane fuel is like outrageous always, and it's like not even refined as much.
Interesting.
But, yeah. All right. Well, that's a show. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Chris, appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yep. Thank you.
Don't
Have a
be an
nice day.
idiot. Take it from us two idiots.
Alrighty.
Bye.